34. His Supremacy, Lavanya's POV. Hey, what are you two doing here? Virat sir's voice interrupted just as Ruhi was waiting for my answer. We both turned our heads to look at him. Nothing. We were, just tired from walking, so we took a break. Ruhi lied smoothly. Oh, I've been looking for you both, he said. Us or just Lavanya? Ruhi teased with a smirk. Virat sir smiled, his face tinged with a slight blush. Are you coming for lunch? It's already 2 p.m. There's a small restaurant just outside, he asked, glancing at his wristwatch. I was still lost in my tangled thoughts. When I looked at Ruhi, she shot me a "we are not done talking yet" look. But she still stood up and declared, Yes, we're coming. Forcing a weak smile, I joined them.
Jackie's POV. I didn't follow her, but my eyes kept searching for her. She had run away without a word, and that silence was unsettling. I wish she had at least scolded me or given me one of her usual lectures. Those were easier to handle than this complete avoidance. Sir... Balram's voice pulled me out of my thoughts. He had approached me from my right while I stood there, scanning the garden. What are you doing here alone? He asked, puzzled. Nothing, I replied, still not looking at him. Who are you looking for? He questioned, clearly noticing my restlessness. No one. I finally glanced at him, brushing it off. After a brief pause, he said, It's lunchtime, sir. Let's go. We're all heading to a restaurant. Coming, I nodded, following him after a few seconds. The place he took me to was a small cafe-style restaurant where all the other office staffs had already gathered. And then my eyes found her, Lavanya. She was sitting with Ruhi, and Virat was right in front of them, on the other side of the table. She hadn't seen me enter. Her gaze was fixed on her hands resting on the table, but the moment Balram's loud voice announced my arrival, she noticed me. Her eyes widened in surprise before she instantly looked down, trying to avoid my gaze. I knew it. This is how it is going to be from now on. I took a seat, stealing glances at her from the corner of my eye. Balram placed an order for me, and I ate quietly with him, though I barely tasted the food. It didn't compare to the meals she used to bring me every day. Throughout lunch, she seemed lost in thought, never looking at me even once. I felt disappointed in myself. I hadn't done anything wrong, but the intensity of the moment between us had been undeniable. I had let my guard down, and she had felt it too. That's why she was so distant now. But if she is angry, I'm ready to apologize.
Lavanya's POV. I ate my lunch in silence, though I had no appetite. I knew he was watching me, waiting for our eyes to meet. But how could I? To him, touching, hugging, or even kissing a girl probably wasn't a big deal. But for me, it was everything. He had touched me before, but this time was different. This time, I had pulled him closer. I had wanted to feel his warmth, his breath, his heartbeat. And that truth, that I had wanted it, was what disturbed me the most. That is what I am ashamed of. I shouldn't be thinking about him like this. I've been lecturing him about society, morals, and boundaries, yet look at what I did. He must think I'm such a hypocrite. Oh God, I can't even meet his eyes. After lunch, we stepped outside as the guide suggested visiting the nearby market. We explored it, purchasing a few decorative pieces. Now, we were waiting to see the night view of the Taj Mahal. It was around 4 in the afternoon, and I was standing with Virat sir and Ruhi near a beverage stall, sipping on cold drinks. Around us, our colleagues were scattered in small groups, chatting and exploring. Oh God, I'm so excited to see the night view. They say tonight is a full moon, so it's going to be breathtaking, Ruhi gushed. Virat sir nodded, sharing her excitement. I smiled at them. We'll get some great pictures. I brought my DSLR with me, he said, motioning toward his backpack slung over his shoulder. Sir, make sure to share the pictures in the office group. We're all exchanging photos, Rui reminded him. Of course I will, he replied with a nod. As they continued chatting, I found myself stealing glances at Mr. Dawson from the corner of my eye. Each time, I caught him already looking at me, every single time. My heart pounded, and I quickly averted my gaze, pretending to focus elsewhere. Ruhi and Virat sir were laughing at one of her jokes while I stood there, half smiling, feeling distracted, until a voice snapped me out of my thoughts. Hey baby, looking hot! We turned to see a group of young men loitering near a tea stall. One of them, sitting on a motorbike, smirked and winked at me. Want to ride with me, babe? He jeered. Disgusted, I shifted my eyes away. Bastards! Rui hissed under her breath. Ignore them. Don't give them attention, Virat sir advised, glancing at us. We nodded. We were used to this, unfortunately. Eve teasing was an everyday reality, something we had learned to tolerate in silence. My sexy heroine, moi! The man called out again, his voice louder, followed by laughter from his friends. I swallowed hard and turned my head away, focusing on Ruhi. But then, I heard Ruhi gasp. Oh no, shit! Her eyes were wide in alarm, staring toward the tea stall. Confused, I turned slightly, looking over my shoulder. My breath hitched. Mr. Dawson had the man by his collar. I spun around fully, my heart racing. He was glaring at the guy with a level of fury I had never seen before. Balram sir stood behind him, frantically pleading for him to let go. Sir, put him down. What are you doing? Balram urged, panicked. But Mr. Dawson wasn't listening. How dare you? His voice was a deep, menacing growl, sending shivers down my spine. The other boys were shouting, demanding that he release their friend, but he wasn't paying them any attention. His focus was solely on the man in his grip, his expression dark with rage. He looked ready to choke him to death. Someone please stop him, I stammered, my pulse racing. This man is insane, Virat sir muttered, sounding exasperated. For some reason, that irritated me. My God, am I really seeing this? I've only seen things like this in Bollywood movies. What the hell is he doing? Ruhi whispered in disbelief. Suddenly, a police officer appeared out of nowhere, his voice cutting through the chaos with an authoritative warning. Arre oh hero, Chodosko, put him down now. No! Mr. Dawson's voice was even louder, making everyone, including the policeman, flinch in alarm. Oh my God, what are you doing? Please, sir, let him go, please. Sir, please. The police are here. Balram sir pleaded again, this time with more urgency. Finally, Mr. Dawson listened. With a sharp exhale, he flung the man to the ground like a discarded paper ball. His chest was rising and falling rapidly, the tension in his body still palpable. He was fuming. Who are you? The policeman demanded, his suspicious gaze locked onto Mr. Dawson. Before he could answer, Balram sir stepped in. Sir Ji, he's our boss. Sir Ji, kal hi Amrika. Sir आइए हाइन Taj Mahal देखने के लिए हमारे boss hai. He doesn't know how to ignore these kinds of people. This guy was harassing one of our female colleagues, so our boss got a little protective and angry, Balram explained, mixing truth with just enough diplomacy. I'm really sorry, sir. It won't happen again, I promise. His apologetic tone seemed to work as the policeman's posture relaxed slightly. Dekh hai, the officer huffed, but tell him to control his temper. Superman wali herogedi nahi chalti yahan pe. Sanima nahi hai yo, chaku chori hota in lafango ke paas to? Balram sir nodded rapidly, grabbing Mr. Dawson's arm and pulling him away before things could escalate further. Meanwhile, the officer turned his attention to the troublemakers, his voice booming as he scolded them. He smacked a couple of them across the face for good measure, making them scatter like frightened mice. I let out a breath I hadn't even realized I was holding. I can't believe what just happened. My gaze flickered toward Mr. Dawson. His expression hadn't changed. His jaw was still clenched, his body rigid, his eyes burning with lingering fury. We left the scene and returned to the Taj Mahal, waiting for the night view. It was now 5 in the evening, and I leaned against one of the pillars, my mind still replaying the events of the day. My energy had drained. The excitement I'd felt that morning now replaced with exhaustion and a mild headache. Ruhi and Virat sir were still busy taking pictures, but I didn't feel like joining them. I knew my face probably looked miserable and I hated sad pictures. So, I stayed back, waiting for them to finish. That's when I felt a presence approaching. From the corner of my eye, I saw Mr. Dawson walking toward me, his expression unreadable. His movements were steady, deliberate, his gaze fixed solely on me. I swallowed hard, my pulse quickening. When he reached me, he stood tall in front of me, and my eyes instinctively lowered to the ground. "Stop hiding from me!" His voice was firm, and I stiffened. "Look, about what happened earlier?" "Please," I cut him off, my voice barely above a whisper. "I don't want to talk about it. I just wanted to pretend it never happened." "Why not?" he demanded. "We were both there. You know exactly what happened. And I..." As soon as he started talking about it, vivid images flooded my mind, overwhelming me. I needed to escape, both from this conversation and from him. I turned and walked away. "Lavanya," he called after me, but I kept going. "Lavanya." His voice grew louder, closer. That was when I realized he was chasing after me. Before I could get any further, his hand closed around my arm, pulling me to a stop right in front of the Taj Mahal. I didn't turn to face him. The sun was now low on the horizon, casting a golden glow over everything. I shut my eyes tightly, trying to steady my breath, inhaling deeply in an attempt to calm the storm raging inside me. Then, I felt his hands on my shoulders, firm yet careful, as he turned me to face him. I still didn't open my eyes. "Closing your eyes won't make you invisible, love," he murmured, his voice deep, husky. "I can still see you." "Stop. Just stop calling me that, please," I whispered, my voice shaky as I finally opened my eyes, now glistening with unshed tears. His brows furrowed. "What?" he asked, barely above a whisper. "Don't call me love ever again," I said, my tone flat, unwavering. Silence. The sun dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a sky streaked with hues of deep orange and purple. We stood there staring at each other, the weight of unsaid words pressing heavily between us. "I know it makes no sense, but every word you say makes me vulnerable, sir. Please, try to understand." He shook his head slightly, confusion flickering in his eyes. "I don't get it," he whispered. "What is wrong with you?" I knew he was right. Something was definitely wrong with me. But I couldn't let myself acknowledge it. So I did what I always did. I deflected. "What's wrong with me?" I let out a humorless chuckle. "What's wrong with you?" His expression darkened, but I pushed on. "Why did you fight those lowlifes in the street? What were you trying to prove, playing the hero? Was that even necessary?" His jaw clenched. They were saying disgusting things about you. So what? I scoffed. People talk. They always do. They're like stray dogs barking at passing cars. Why did you feel the need to bark back? His eyes flared with anger. Are you serious? They were harassing you and you're telling me I should have just ignored it? You're not some kind of superhero, Mr. Dawson. This isn't a Bollywood film, it's real life. Those men could have had weapons. They could have hurt you. Can't you see that? I don't care, he snapped. I still want to break that bastard's face. And if it ever happens again, I'll do the same. I won't regret it for a second. Do you understand that? His voice was like a vow, unyielding and absolute. I exhaled sharply, my frustration reaching its peak. And that's the problem, sir. You don't care. You never care about anything. You always do whatever you want without thinking about consequences, without thinking about what's right or wrong. That's exactly how problems arise. He narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? What problem? Why do you even want to know? I threw back. You've already made it clear that you don't care about anything. I never said that. You didn't have to, I shot back. It's obvious. His voice was steel when he responded. I do care, Miss Lavanya. I let out a humorless laugh. Oh, really? Then let's hear it. Tell me, what exactly do you care about? After a long pause, he finally spoke, his voice a hoarse whisper. You? I froze. We stood there in silence, his hands still gripping my arms, our eyes locked in an exchange of emotions too deep for words. Then suddenly, a flash of light. We both blinked and turned toward the source. Some of our colleagues were taking pictures of the Taj Mahal, oblivious to what had just transpired between us. I shouldn't be here with him. Snapping back to reality, I quickly stepped away, breaking free from his hold. Please, just leave me alone, sir. Without waiting for a response, I turned and walked away. He didn't follow me this time. I wandered through the crowd until I found Ruhi and Virat sir standing near the edge of the courtyard, busy taking photos. Hey, where were you? Virat sir asked. We were looking for you. I wasn't feeling well, so I sat down for a bit. Ruhi pointed up at the sky. Well, it's already dark and the moon is up. I hadn't even realized. It was breathtaking. The full moon rising behind the Taj Mahal, its white marble shimmering in the moonlight. The reflection of the monument danced on the pool surface, creating an ethereal glow. Everyone around me was capturing the view, mesmerized. But suddenly, my head spun, my vision blurred. The moon, the Taj Mahal, the people, everything seemed to fade, turning into a blinding haze of white light. My knees buckled.
Jackie's POV. Our eyes had been locked in silent conversation, but then a camera flash shattered the moment. She ran from me again, and this time I let her go. I didn't understand why she kept running. I wandered towards the garden, keeping my distance, but my gaze never left her. She stood among her colleagues, her face glowing under the moonlight, her eyes reflecting the Taj Mahal's ethereal beauty. She was more of a wonder than the monument itself. Then something changed. She blinked rapidly, her hand lifting to the side of her head. A flicker of unease passed through me. What's wrong? I straightened, muscles tensing, ready to move. Then, her body swayed. Her eyes fluttered shut. I ran. I reached her just in time, catching her in my arms before she hit the ground. Lavanya. She didn't respond. Lavanya. Panic surged through me as I cradled her against my chest. Her body was completely limp, just like that night when she fell from the stairs. The memory sent a chill down my spine, but I shook it off. People gathered around us, their voices rising in alarm. Lavie. Ruhi's voice trembled as she crouched beside us. Lavanya, what happened? Virat sir demanded. I didn't answer. Without wasting another second, I scooped her up in my arms and carried her away. ignoring the gasps and whispers around me. Nothing else mattered right now. I need to get her to the bus. Sir, where are you taking her? That idiot's voice rang out behind me, loud and demanding. I ignored him, focusing on getting her to the bus. Before I could board, he rushed ahead, stepping directly in my path, his glare sharp. Get out of my way, I ordered coldly. No, give her to me. I'll take care of her. He extended his arms as if I'd actually hand her over. My anger surged. Didn't you hear me, Mr. Oberoi? Get the hell out of my way. She is not yours. And she's not yours either, he snapped back. Back off, I growled. Sir, you... He looked ready to argue further, but Balram stepped in, placing a firm hand on his shoulder. Virat. His voice was calm, meant to diffuse the situation. Virat exhaled sharply, his jaw clenching before he finally stormed off in frustration. Bastard. I climbed onto the bus, still cradling Lavanya in my arms, and carefully laid her down on the last seat. Rui hovered nearby, her face full of concern. Give me some water, I instructed. She quickly handed me a bottle. I sprinkled some on Lavanya's face, but she didn't stir. What happened to her? Rui asked, her worry evident. I don't know, maybe she's exhausted. It was the only explanation I could think of. Turning to Balram, I ordered, Tell the others to hurry up. We're leaving now. Get the driver to take us home ASAP. Balram nodded and left to follow my instructions. As the bus filled with passengers, I lifted Lavanya's head onto my lap, making sure she was comfortable. No one dared to question me. The once lively group that had been singing and dancing this morning now sat in silence, drained from the long day. After a grueling 3 to 4 hour drive, we finally arrived back at the staff quarters. It was nearly midnight. All the employees departed for their homes, but Rui, Virat, and Balram stayed behind with me. I carefully lifted Lavanya into my arms again and stepped off the bus. Rui, take Lavanya's bag and get the key to her apartment. Give it to Balram. She nodded and rushed to do as I said. I'll come with you, Virat announced. No thank you, I don't need you, I shot back. But she needs me, he argued, his jaw clenched as he gestured toward Lavanya. She's with me right now, she doesn't need you at all. Without waiting for another word, I turned and headed towards her apartment, Balram following closely behind. I had no interest in hearing any more of Virat's nonsense.
Author's POV. Virat huffed in frustration, watching Jackie disappear into the distance. What is his problem? Rui sighed, clearly irritated by the ongoing rivalry. Sir, please, not now. Are you serious, Rui? Why are you saying this to me? You should be telling him to stay away from my girlfriend. Virat's voice rose, frustration and jealousy evident. He's the one interfering all the time. Every time I'm with Lavanya, he's there. It's like I got him for free with her, and now I have to tolerate him. Why? Rui understood his feelings, but she also knew that something was going on in Lavanya's mind. Something Virat wasn't seeing. And until she figured it out, she wasn't about to jump to conclusions. Look, Virat, sir, she said calmly. She's not well right now. We're all worried about her. But I'll take care of her and I'll keep you updated on her condition. Please, just go home, okay? Reluctantly, Virat exhaled and nodded, though his frustration didn't fade. Rui watched as he walked towards his car, already knowing this wasn't the end of it. This isn't fair, you know. Virat exhaled, his voice barely above a whisper. Lavanya is unwell, and I can't do anything to help her. No one can take care of her better than I can. I love her. The last 3 words came out shakily, his eyes glistening as he stopped for a brief moment. Rui sighed, understanding his frustration. I know, sir. I do know that. But you have to understand, he's our boss. We have to respect his decisions. We can't argue with him all the time. Virat shook his head in disapproval. I don't care if he's my boss or whatever. I just hate that man, and I want him to stay away from the girl I love. That's it. Rui swallowed hard, knowing that wasn't going to happen anytime soon. Okay, I'll talk to her when she wakes up, but for now, please go. Please. She pleaded, hoping to calm him down. After a long pause, he nodded reluctantly. though it was clear he didn't want to leave. "It hurts that I can't even see her," he murmured before getting into his car. Rui watched as he drove away before heading upstairs to Lavanya's apartment. As soon as Rui entered, she found Lavanya lying on the couch, unconscious, while Mr. Dawson stood beside her, gazing down at her with an unreadable expression. "Balram, send the security guard up here and drop Miss Rui home. I'll take care of things from here," Mr. Dawson instructed without taking his eyes off Lavanya. "But, sir..." "Balram, do as I say. Send one of the security guards up here." "Oh, okay, sir." Balram nodded hesitantly and glanced at Rui with wide eyes. His silent way of saying boss is not in a good mood. Rui blinked rapidly and nodded in understanding. Mr. Dawson gently touched Lavanya's forehead with the back of his knuckles, checking for a fever. His brows furrowed. Without wasting a second, he took out his phone and dialed a number. "Jackie Dawson here." "Hello, Mr. Dawson. Is everything okay?" A doctor's voice responded from the other end. "Yeah. Doc, actually, one of my friends here in India is sick. We went on a trip and she passed out this evening. It's been hours, and she still hasn't woken up. She was complaining of headaches before." "Did you check her temperature?" "No, hold on. Rui, bring me a thermometer," he ordered without looking up. Rui hurried to Lavanya's bedroom, rummaged through the drawers, and returned with a thermometer in hand. Mr. Dawson placed it under Lavanya's tongue, waiting for the beep. When it did, his eyes widened. "Dr. Green, it's 101 degrees. "Sounds like a viral fever," the doctor responded. "What medicine should I give her?" "Wait, I'm calling one of my Indian colleagues. I can't recommend American medicines since I'm unsure if they're available in India. I'll call you back in 5 minutes with the Indian substitutes, okay?" "All right, thanks." Mr. Dawson hung up and exhaled deeply, sitting beside Lavanya on the couch. Rui hesitated before speaking. "Sir?" He looked up at her. "Once Lavanya takes the medicine, you can go. I'll stay with her," she offered kindly. He shook his head. "Thank you, Miss Rui, but no. You should go home. It's already late. Balram will drop you." Rui sighed, knowing she wasn't going to win this argument. "Sir, she's a girl. You can't stay here all night with her." Rui tried to reason with him. "Miss Rui, don't push me. I am not in the mood to repeat myself," Mr. Dawson snapped, his voice sharp with irritation. Rui flinched at his tone, realizing any further argument would be pointless. Just then, Balram entered with the security guard. "Yes, sir." The guard bowed slightly in respect. Mr. Dawson glanced at him before turning to Balram. "Drive Miss Rui home." Balram nodded in obedience. Rui sighed, knowing there was no changing his mind. Without another word, she stepped out of the apartment, casting one last look at her unconscious friend, Levi. She had seen it clearly. Mr. Dawson had feelings for her friend. He hadn't said it outright, but his actions spoke louder than words. She didn't dare ask him now, but sooner or later, she would find a way to make him admit it. A love triangle was forming, and she needed to be sure of it. But what about Lavi? Does she know how he feels about her? There had been something in Lavi's eyes today, something Rui couldn't quite decipher. But now, she was determined to uncover the truth. As Balram drove her home, her mind was consumed with thoughts of everything that had happened.